Welcome back, adventurers. It's your friendly neighborhood Wayfinder, Alvin Angers, back with another video, and this time around, I'll be breaking down Wayfinder's affinity system so that you can go on to make that ultimate OP build. Vamonos. I know, at first, Wayfinder's menu could be a little overwhelming, so let's start with how the Affinity system works. Simply put, the Affinity system is where you spend affinity points, and you gain these points after leveling up. As of right now, the max level is 30, but you can only obtain up to 29 affinity points for each character. The Affinity system is broken into 3 different categories. You have Instinct, Discipline, and Focus. Now, these 3 categories that you can apply affinity points to will give a bonus stats to weapons and accessories that share the associated stats with that category. I know that was a mouthful, so let's break this down. For example, we will be using the mini golem accessory to demonstrate, and I'm only using this one because it has all 3 affinity categories, so it makes it easier to see. If you look at the bottom right, you'll see these item stats. You have resilience, max health, and crit rating. Now, these are the only type of stats that this item has. Nothing changes that, but applying the points to the right category will give one of these stats a bonus. Behind the resilience stat, you'll see an instinct symbol. Now, if we go back to the affinity menu and upgrade the instant category, it will boost your resilience number on this item. Of course, it'll also give a bonus to all accessories that have an instant affinity associated with it. Now, if we were to go on to give another point to Discipline affinity, you see an increase on max health for the mini golem because max health for this item is tied to the Discipline affinity. It's important to note that just because max health is tied to Discipline affinity does not mean that all items that have max health stats are also tied to the Discipline affinity. If you hover over each affinity category, you can see which items are being affected by the affinity. You can see here that if I raise my instinct, it would increase my golem's resilience, and so on. This makes it very helpful to make decisions once you have the accessories that you want. I would like to note that upgrading an affinity will not only require an affinity point, but also requires some gold and gloom stones. Gold can be earned through expeditions, hunts, and the highlands through chests or buried treasure, and even through the world gloom events. Gloom stones are a little harder to come by, but you can earn some through Wayfinder's dungeons or craft them using gloomstone shards. And now, before you go spending all your points, you'll want to take a look at the Affinity Perks, so you can have some resemblance of the build you wanted to make. You can prompt open this menu by pressing the F button. When on the Affinity menu, every character has different perks. I'll be using silos to demonstrate. Now let's break this down. Every affinity column has 2 perks. In the instant category, we have perk 1, which unlocks when you slotted 5 points into the instant affinity. You can unlock the second perk if you slot 15 points into this affinity category, and so on. The other affinity perks unlock with the same number of points, but again, you only have 29 points, so you'll want to plan this out so that not only you can make the build you want, but that it works effectively. I also want to point out that when looking at your affinity perks, it's also very important to look at your existing passives and the character abilities so that you can tie things to one another. Just to show you how important it is, I'll guide you through my plan. In this case, the first perk on the instant column is called Strategic Victory, which increases the damage bonus of Strategic Advantage by an additional 10%. Now remember that. Now note that every Wayfinder has a character passive. You can look at your passives by going to the ability menu and hovering over the icons. In this case, Silo's passive is that he deals 10% bonus melee and range standard shot damage to enemies that are debuffed. Debuff can include things like slowed, burning, poisoned, stunned, etc. Now with this affinity perk unlocked, Silo's passive would jump to a 20% increase. Silo's most frequently used character ability, at least for me, is Oil and Firebomb. Not only do they come back fast, but they are constantly applying debuffs on enemies like burning or slowing, which will prompt our character passive to be active frequently. Now, if we look at Silo's Oil Bomb character ability, if we level it up to at least a level 2, it says that oiled enemies are more likely to be critically hit. Now, we can once again look at the Affinity Perks and look at the Discipline Affinity column. Perk 1 says increase crit chance by 10% against debuffed enemies. Now, we are already constantly debuffing enemies with our current playstyle, and with our character's archetype passive called Expose Weakness, on a critical hit, expose the enemy for 6 seconds, and also marks for teammates. When exposed, enemies take an additional 10% damage from all resources. And lastly, if we look at the instant column perk 2 called Strategic Charge, it says the ultimate meter slightly fills every time a basic attack hits a debuff target. This one is actually pretty insane because we're getting rewarded for literally doing what we are already intending to do, and it helps us get back our ultimate back faster. Also, if you look at your ultimate arc nemesis and level up to at least a level 2, we could get at least an additional source from which we could debuff enemies, rinse and repeat. Alright, let's move on to weapon affinity upgrades. Now these are really easy and require much less planning. If you hover over the first column, you'll see how much of an increase you get and the resources needed for leveling up that infinity. As you'll notice, this requires no affinity points at all. All it requires is gloomstones and gold. Another difference is that you can max all infinity categories for your weapon, but make sure to upgrade what you want first because it does get expensive as you level up. Furthermore, you can also temper your weapon, which pretty much further increases your weapon stats. Lastly, for the final touches of your build, you'll want to look at the Weapon Mastery tab. You'll notice 4 weapon classes: Guardian Melee, which is all sword and shield weapons; Executioner Melee, which are all two-handed weapons; Marksman Range, which are all range weapons; and lastly, Twin Striker Melee, which are all dagger weapons. Now, each weapon class has 3 mastery talents that level up all at the same time, and you can level it up to the max level of 3. In the first talent, called Sniper, you can increase the percentage of rifle damage when at long range. In my case, I went with the Critical Reload, which says on a hotspot, reload grants up to 16 crit chance based in the number of shots reloaded for 10 seconds, which is overall the best talent for my build. Anyway, guys, I really hope this helped. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions. What builds are you planning to go for? I definitely want to experiment with some melee weapons for Silo. I'm thinking some Venom dual daggers. If you have any requests, let me know. I do have some more videos dropping, so don't forget to hit that sub button to keep up to date with the latest Wayfinder updates. Again, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give us a like. You guys can catch me streaming on Twitch. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.